Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Aviation Daily. On today's episode, we have some news from Lufthansa, from El Al Israel, and from the Boeing 737 MAX as usual. So let's get right into the video. First of all, yesterday there were 3 Lufthansa diversions, and well, while I'm going to tell the diversions here, but I don't know the exact problems that happened to cause these diversions. So the first one was Lufthansa flight 430, which is a Boeing 747 performing a flight from Frankfurt to Chicago. The aircraft returned to Frankfurt shortly after departure. No emergency was declared, and this was likely a technical problem. The aircraft burned fuel prior to landing back in Frankfurt. Now, this is not confirmed that it was a technical problem, but since the aircraft returned very shortly after departure, it makes me believe that the aircraft had to turn back because there was some sort of technical problem, like they couldn't retract flaps or couldn't retract gears. The second diversion was Lufthansa flight LH780 from Frankfurt to Nanjing in China. The aircraft took off and returned to Frankfurt after 3 hours in the skies. The reason for this diversion is unknown, but for this one, if I had to guess, I would say this was a medical diversion because it happened more towards the middle of the flight rather than in the beginning of the flight. This was the second Lufthansa long-haul diversion, and the third diversion is Lufthansa 747-800 Yankee Tango, which is the Lufthansa 747 with the retro livery. This aircraft was operating a flight between Frankfurt and Buenos Aires, Argentina, when the aircraft had to turn back over Brazil airspace and divert to Campinas in São Paulo, Brazil. The reason remains unknown, but it was likely a medical emergency, for the same reason as the Lufthansa flight to China. Now, there was another diversion, Delta flight DL-189, an Airbus A350 performing a flight from Detroit to Beijing, returned to Detroit, and the reason is unknown. Now, El Al Boeing 787-900 with the registration 4 X-ray Echo Delta Delta now wears a special decal promoting its new US routes to San Francisco and Las Vegas. Both flights begin later this year. Flights to San Francisco begin on May 13, and flights to Las Vegas begin on June 14th. Etihad Airways plans to upgrade and refurbish 23 narrow-body Airbus A320 and A321 aircraft to include options including personalized streaming to personal devices. The cabin looks very nice, as you can see on these photos. SAS has cancelled more than 1,200 extra flights as their pilots strike drag on to its 3rd day. I covered SAS strike on the previous episode of the Aviation Daily, so I'll leave the link on the description if you want to check that. Singapore Airlines has become the first airline to fly the Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner to Sydney, Australia. The aircraft performed flight SQ241 yesterday, substituting the 777-300ER, which flies the Singapore to Sydney route on a daily basis. Some news from the 737 MAX. Boeing did not tell Southwest Airlines, the largest customer of the 737 MAX, that a standard feature of safety on the 737 MAX had been deactivated when the carrier began flying them in 2017. When Southwest's 737 MAX aircraft was delivered by Boeing, the airline believed that the angle of attack disagree notification was active, and it wasn't. It wasn't reactivated until after JT610, which is the Lion Air 737 MAX crash. 3 more Avianca Brazil Airbus A320 have been repossessed by lessors. The aircraft are heading to Teruel in Spain for storage ahead of lease to new operators. And that is it for today's episode of the Daily. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on tomorrow's episode. Goodbye.